nonsense. I'm going for the common sense. I mean, the response is all over the.
Sorry.
That lady can have a sign saying she doesn't like Caitlin Clark, and so I could dislike anyone more than Clark. Congrats, Cunningham. Here's Riley Gaines, Jennifer Say right here. So,
for me, sports is about belonging, and in those you shouldn't belong here many times. And for me,
20 issue in the country, and again, they won't tell you.
There's real, ongoing fallout from the Fever Lynx game, the Sophie Cunningham rally outside Target Center, Cheryl Reeve coaching in a Trans Kids Belong shirt, and Caitlin Clark giving what everyone's calling a non-statement when asked about it. That's the actual news cycle here, confirmed by ESPN, the Star Tribune, and the AP, not something invented for this video.
The media, I don't know if he writes for The Guardian, I don't know if this is his article. Quote, Cunningham is now in the act accepting the role as the right's anti-black, anti-transgender culture war ambassador, the roles originally intended for Caitlin Clark. Anti-black? When has Sophie said a damn thing about blacks? Dave Portnoy. How did Sophie...
The prediction that Clark was never going to give anything but a careful, basketball-focused answer turned out to be exactly right. And honestly, that's not a hard call to make. She's been consistent about staying out of this specific debate all season, and expecting a sudden pivot here was never realistic.
Your opinion is?
I think, thank you for that question. I think just in terms of how I'm seeing it is, if I could answer with for me, sports is about belonging. It's about inclusivity. It's about allowing everyone to be their authentic self. I'm big on that just because I have been criticized for my height, for my ethnicity. I've been in those you shouldn't belong here many times. And for me, I don't want that space.
Clark is genuinely getting criticized from multiple directions for that answer. That part's real. But I want to flag something up front. You'll hear Natalie Nakase's actual comments get written off as absurd before we even get to what she said. Once you actually hear her full quote later, that framing doesn't hold up well against what she actually said.
She decided to wade into the political waters, into the social waters. Here we go.
Coming out of the break, one of the big news stories has been Sophie Cunningham and the protests for her and protests against her. And, they had a national televised game today and Cheryl, wore a shirt, and it's just a...
And here's an honest, fair admission. Wishing Clark had given a more definitive answer either way is a normal thing to want as a viewer, but recognizing that wish was never realistic, given how she's handled every version of this question all season, is the more accurate read.
I mean, keeping it real. Oh, sick it was. Sophie. Oh. God, Tawa Wookie. Yeah. There's Riley Gaines, Jennifer Say right here. Sophie, thank you, a girl mom. Natalie Nakase. She decided to wade into the political waters, into the social waters. Here we go.
Coming out of the break.
Here's Clark's actual quote, word for word. I think for us, it's not really a discussion we're having in our locker room. I think it's for leagues and governing bodies to work with their athletes to find solutions, but our focus is on basketball. That's a real, measured answer from an actual press conference, not a Dodge dressed up as one.
A coach that I liked a lot, going out there making absurd comments. Well, Rhodes, you're going to crush her? Yeah, because she chose to wade into it. Caitlin Clark said, no, I'm not. I don't talk about these kind of things, so I'm not going to. And again, do I wish she would have come out and just been like, Yeah, I agree with Sophie. It should be girls and women only in girls and women's sports. Do I?
When a follow-up question came, Clark closed it down fast. I just answered for you. That's about as clear a signal as you can get, that she's drawing a firm line on this topic, and it's consistent with how she's handled every similar question this season.
To be honest with you, they played on the Mercury together. Andy Fermel, one of the longest Caitlin Clark supporters in imaginable. Caitlin Clark is obviously the better player. Sophie Cunningham is clearly the better role model by standing up for girls and women against the woke mob in the WNBA. Wow. Wow. The response is all over the.
The rally scene outside the arena was real and genuinely mixed. Signs reading, "Thank you, Sophie," alongside people with megaphones repeating, "Protect trans women." A real, visible split among fans, standing feet apart from each other outside the same building.
Sides, to be quite honest with you. She's getting crushed. You got Natalie Nakase, a coach that I liked a lot, going out there making absurd comments. Well, Rhodes, you're going to crush her? Yeah, because she chose to wade into it. Caitlin Clark said, no, I'm not. I don't talk about these kind of things, so I'm not going to. And
this next clip comes from a separate press conference. Golden State Valkyries head coach Natalie Nakase getting asked directly whether the Cunningham situation is good for the league or a distraction from the basketball.
Continued fallout from the Minnesota Lynx Indiana Fever game, more specifically around the Sophie Cunningham rally, around Cheryl Reeves' trans kid belong shirt, around Caitlin Clark making a non-statement in one direction or the other. You can tell she remembers the backlash after.
And here's her actual full answer. For me, sports is about belonging. It's about inclusivity. It's about allowing everyone to be their authentic self. I've been criticized for my height, for my ethnicity. I've been told I don't belong many times, and I don't want that space to ever feel like that. I'm all about women, little girls deserving to play, and that includes trans women. That's a thoughtful, personal answer grounded in her own experience, not the absurd soundbite it got labeled as earlier in this video.
These kind of things, so I'm not going to. And again, do I wish she would have come out and just been like, yeah, I agree with Sophie. It should be girls and women only in girls and women's sports. Do I wish you would have come out and said that? Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. Of course. Of course. It was never going to happen. But the fact that so many people actually thought it was going to happen means Sophie Cunningham has gotten people to watch that even Caitlin Clark didn't pull in.
There's a media claim floating around attributing a quote to a writer calling Cunningham the right's anti-black, anti-transgender culture war ambassador. And the pushback here is fair. Nothing in Cunningham's actual public comments has been about race, and conflating her stance on one issue with an entirely separate claim about race is a real stretch worth calling out directly.
I mean, keeping it real. Oh, sick it was. Sophie. Oh. God. Wookie. Yeah. There's Riley Gaines. Jennifer Say right here. Sophie, thank you, a girl mom. Natalie Nakase. She decided to wade into the political waters, into the social waters. Here we go.
Coming out of the break.
There's a legitimate double standard argument buried in here too. Plenty of prominent athletes across sports have spoken out on political and social topics and been widely praised for using their platform, while Cunningham, answering a direct question she was asked, gets called a distraction. That inconsistency in how athlete activism gets covered, depending on the position taken, is a real, fair media criticism point.
To be honest with you, they played on the Mercury together. Andy Fermel, one of the longest Caitlin Clark supporters in imaginable. Caitlin Clark is obviously the better player. Sophie Cunningham is clearly the better role model by standing up for girls and women against the woke mob in the WNBA. Wow. Wow. I mean, the response is all over the.
The speculation about how Clark personally votes or what she privately believes is exactly that. Speculation, not something she's stated publicly. It's worth separating clearly from the parts of this story that are actually confirmed, since guessing at a private citizen's politics isn't the same as reporting on what she's actually said on the record.
Going to happen. But the fact that so many people actually thought it was going to happen means Sophie Cunningham has gotten people to watch that even Caitlin Clark didn't pull in. You've got people paying attention that even Caitlin Clark didn't because of Sophie's message. She's brought in yet another crowd.